Hello, my name is Wayman and Wayman Ma and Solution Engineers for the Asia Pacific region. And thank you again for joining us today for our hands-on webinar, HKPC Tips on Privileged Access. The webinar will cover the recent study about privileged access governance and the interactive hands-on lab at the end. So you can touch and feel how easy you can monitor the encrypted privileged access. Let's move to today's agenda. For the today agenda, there are a few items that we will go to cover. The first one, I will cover about SSH. So most of you guys know SSH is a secure shell protocol that used for to encrypt traffic. But maybe not most of you know that SSH is also a company listed in Helsinki. And I will have a very few words to cover SSH in the first slides. And the second one I will cover is about the HKPC study on privileged access governance. And HKPC is a semi-government organization in Hong Kong. And later on, we will tell you the findings of the study, the advice from HKPC, and at the end of the webinar, we will have a hands-on lab exercise for all of you guys. You can log into our web portal of our product to touch and feel on how easy you can do the encrypted traffic monitoring. And that is the agenda for today's hands-on webinar. Of course, after the end of the webinar, you can call us or email us for whatever topics regarding the webinar today. How you can reach me in whatever ways you can email me, like here is the email address of my company email. Here is the wayman.ma@ssh.com is the email that you can reach me. So the first slide I want to cover is about SSH. Most of you may get the email from our marketing that talking about the secure shell port number 22. And this is the protocol that invented by our founder, Tatu, in 1995, which is in the purpose is to replace the unencrypted traffic in Telnet and FTP in port number 23 and port number 21. Maybe day back in about 20 years ago, at that era of the IT industry, there is not common to encrypt traffic in the internet or even in whatever network infrastructures. So our founder, Tatu, found that if banking or enterprise, they are transmitting files or commands, they are all in clear text. When Tatu in university study, he found that he need to encrypt the traffic for enterprise so that they can protect the data itself. He invented the protocol called Secure Shell SSH. And because of this, he requests to have the port number 22 to make it as a standard for the Secure Shell protocol. Most of you may know that the Secure Shell protocol port number 22 is frequently permitted by firewalls. In view of this, there are unrestricted outbound of SSH traffic in many enterprises through their firewall or even inbound traffic that is allowed from their firewall. In view of this, you know that the limit the control firewall administrators and the security team have over privileged access. Think of that your administrators may be allowed to access your internal servers or routers or switches or Linux servers through the firewall from the internet or whatever remote site through the secure shell protocols. Or they can tunnel their internal traffic to outside to the internet through the secure shell tunneling. It is the common way that most of the technical guys know how to do the SSH tunneling. And then they can tunnel the sensitive data outgoing to the enterprise, or they can get the data from the internet through the secure shell protocol. In this way, Most of enterprise need to know that how they can control the tunneling within a firewall or any entry point to a group of cloud servers or on-premises servers. So it is some of the background of the secure shell protocol. And the following slide, we will talk about the privileged access. There is no doubt that most of you guys know the privileged access is a super permission in a computer or network services like router switches that allow a super user, maybe an administrator, maybe a root user, to freely navigate the system or networks. They can do whatever things they want through the super permission account. No matter they are from the internal IT administrators, they can start or shut down the system, restart whatever things they can do through the super permission account. In nowadays enterprise environments, most of the enterprise outsource their administrative job to outsiders from external parties, maybe your reseller, maybe your vendors like us. They will do the remote support job from the internet through the enterprise provided privileged access account. And here is figure out some of the items why we the HKPC study the privileged access governance. The first item is the researcher. The researcher is a Hong Kong Productivity Council that in short form is HKPC. It's a semi-government organization in Hong Kong, like I mentioned before. And they have a subsidiary called Hong Kong CERT, which Hong Kong CERT provides the coordination of IT security incident response for the whole Hong Kong security incident response. So in maybe TV or newspaper or whatever public channels, we will get the HKPC or Hong Kong CERT alerts, maybe for CVE vulnerabilities or whatever security incidents in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong PC and HK CERT, they will be responsible for such of the items. And for these studies, the objective is to help raise the awareness and preparedness of enterprise to prevent the attack from privileged access. Is the main focus or the objective of this study. And the study is to provide the data and statistics on privileged access governance in Hong Kong. After we study the whole reports and findings, we found that the report or the study can be replicated to the whole Asia Pacific because the numbers or the figures representing Hong Kong is quite similar in the rest of the Asia Pacific region. So hope this study reports or findings will be helpful for your enterprise as well. And here is the methodology of the study. They conducted the telephone interview in last year, December, and there is around more than 50 successful respondents. And most of the enterprise are listed company in Hong Kong, and the rest of them are non-listed with more than 300 staff. The reason that the number of staff that target for their study is maybe mid-level or the large level of enterprise in Hong Kong, because for SMB, most of the security level for their protection is maybe very loose. So the target of the study is target for listed company with more staff. And here is list the sum of the business sectors of the respondents. Most of them are from the finance and insurance, more than around 40%, and the rest of logistics, transport, government, and wholesale. And it is quite representative in Hong Kong enterprise industry. So let's jump into the findings of the study. The first study finding is that they found that more than 70% company that they do audit and management is because they have the compliance requirement. And about 80% of them has audit and management on privileged assets. Is the response results from the attendees from the study. About 80% they have already the privileged assets audit and management. But after you look into the details of how they do the privileged assets management, you'll find that it's not the good job they are doing. The first result is that 6% of the privileged assets management is only targeting for the audit server log data only. That means when super user that we mentioned before or root or administrator log into a system, they only gather the server log for the privileged assets management. So you can imagine that how can you construct the administrator job through the server log? It's not possible. For example, when an administrator logging into a Windows server for doing a Active Directory configurations, maybe adding a user account or an administrator account or whatever features on a Active Directory, there is no way that you can sort out the way that the administrator do in the Windows servers through the server access log. It's impossible because through the server access log, the meaningful data that you can gather is or you can collect is that when the administrator log in, log off, and the duration that the administrator logging into the system. And there is no meaningful data that you can gather from what the administrator do. And more than 70% of the enterprise said they audit the server log and manage encrypted connection as well. So what is the message of manage encrypted connection? Encrypted connection like SSH secure shell, because most of the enterprise administrator or the external vendors, they will logging into system through secure shell, remote desktop. Most of the remote access tools is through these two major protocols. So for SSH secure shell, like I mentioned before, is a encrypted protocol. Remote desktop, I don't know if you guys have studied on the remote desktop protocol, is also encrypted by certificate. So RDP is also encrypted by SSL protocol. In this way, most of the remote access tools is being encrypted. For the respondents, for more than 70% of the enterprise, they have managed encrypted connections. The interpretation of this message is that they allow SSH or disallow SSH. They allow remote desktop or disallow remote desktop. Because nowadays they have limited tools that they can do to restrict the access, or they can monitor the encrypted connections. So the enterprise that they can do is to allow or disallow. And the easy way is to do on the firewall configurations. They allow port number 22 SSH. They allow remote desktop protocol or disallow remote desktop protocol. And that's all. So for this slide, try to figure out for your enterprise, is that exactly the same for your enterprise that you allow remote access tools to access to your servers to do the super permission job? The administrator root user can freely navigate to your systems and do everything they want. And the only way that you can do for the traceability, visibility on your privileged assets is only through the server access log. If so, you have to look into details on the privileged access management. And of course, at the later slide, I will tell you the solutions on how can you do for the monitoring of the encrypted connections. And for this slide, around 20% of the respondents has encountered the security issue of privileged assets. No matter they are from external attacks or from internal abuse. Recently, I got a news cutting from one of my friends that shared to me. There is an expert in security field engineer. He tried to expose a SSH-enabled server in a AWS cloud, a Amazon Web Service cloud, that the server has SSH protocol and published to the internet through the AWS cloud. He found that he got more than 1,000 of attacks, no matter it's a brute force attack to log into the secure shell server or whatever way that they want to get into the server through the secure shell protocol. Once he tried to publish the server into the internet through the AWS. So here you can see that no matter that you try to publish your server to the internet, or even though you only restrict your server from your internal access, the problem is still there. To the internet, there is external attacks. For internals, there are internal issues, abuse, or for some misuse of the privileged account to access the server. So please take into account on this area. Another interesting story that on the finding of the report is the shared account. So what is the meaning of shared account? Shared account is mean that for logging into a Windows server through a privileged user account is called, most likely is called administrator. Logging into a secure shell server like router switch, Linux, Unix, or IBM AIX, whatever systems you are using root account. Most of the enterprise, they will distribute the administrator account to a certain group of users that they cater for some Windows servers. For example, 10 of the administrator will get the password or the credential for logging into those of the Windows servers. For another group of Unix administrator, they will have the root account to log into the group of the Unix systems. The problem is that the 10 of the user of the group of the user, they got the administrator account or the root account. So how can you differentiate who is using the administrator or the root account to logging into the system? There is no way that you can do. Because in the server log, you know that there is an administrator logging into the server from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. You have no way to know that the administrator is from Raymond or for the rest of your enterprise administrator users. Because in the server log or whatever system, SIEM, you only see the administrator. This problem is called shared account issue, pretty much in the privileged access. And most of the enterprise committed that they have the privileged account, shared account issue in their enterprise environment. And most of the enterprise have insufficient management of the shared account. Among those of the shared account with privileged access, 25% of the enterprise have no additional measure to protect shared account with privileged access. That means one day maybe Raymond on leave, and then maybe there is a Windows server that only I have the administrator account that I can log in. But because of my annual leave, my sick leave, whatever way that I'm leaving the company, I share the administrator account to another colleague for helping me to do the administrator job on the system. So the problem here is that the user will also get the administrator account as me, and the administrator account will circulate to the whole enterprise that most of the user will get the administrator account so that they can also logging into the system, the Windows server, for doing the administrator job. And even worse that is that you can't trace what is the exact user doing the administrator job at the back end, because at the server log, you only see the administrator credential. Is the problem behind the shared administrator privilege account. Another topic on the study is that they find out that for the IT outsourcing, the trend is growing. The use of the IT outsourcing is rising. Now, in 2016, last year, around 56% they have provided privileged access to IT partners or outsourced parties. And they claim that the percentage will be growth to 65% in 2017. That means nearly raise around 10% year by year. So if you have no way to protect your privileged account, your shared account, that means IT outsourcing partners will also get your share account, your privileged account, your super account. After the findings of the report, Hong Kong Productivity Council, HKPC, also gets some advices for enterprise. Before jumping into the advice from the HKPC, they point out that there are many major attacks targeting overseas governments, banks, retails in past few years. In last years, there are utility companies, there are banks in the worldwide, they get the account being headed through the privileged access. And one of the major incidents, security incidents in recent years that most of the security company will mention is the Edward Snowden leakage in the USA government. Edward Snowden was working in NSA. That is a very sensitive government agency in US sector. And Snowden can rely on the secure shell protocol to get this very sensitive data from the NSA protected environment. And then the Edward Snowden leave the US government and get the sensitive data and jump into Hong Kong in 2013. So there is many security incidents in the worldwide that they have the privileged access target-based attack. And the number of incidents is still growing. And based on the privileged access attack, the consequence can be varied. They can be surface disruption, that because you have the root access, you can disrupt the system by shutting down, reboot it, or doing whatever job you can do. The data breach, you can get or whatever way that you can do you can get on the data. The financial loss, the damage of the reputation, such of the things that maybe you can damage from the privileged access attack. So for the Hong Kong PC, they have few ways that to encourage the enterprise to secure the privileged access for enterprise. For enterprise, they should incorporate the privileged access governance, especially higher risk areas. For example, the shared administrator accounts with privileged access, provide privileged access to external IT partners. They have corporate these life cycles on the shared administrator accounts, the privileged account, the management of the life cycle of the account. They have to incorporate the privileged access governance into the enterprise information security strategy. Because nowadays, most of enterprise have their own enterprise security strategy or life cycle or whatever things on their enterprise, maybe on APT, instant response, whatever ways. They have limited resources or planning on privileged access governance. So please raise up the awareness of the privileged access in internal enterprise. Another advice from the HKPC is to protect the key privileged access services. Remote access, VPN, cloud administrative access. Privileged access can access through SSH, RDP, or they can do it from the remote internet through SSL VPN or IPsec VPN. They can access through the AWS cloud to your internal servers. So take into account that privileged account can be everywhere. They can be located in your internal systems or now maybe in the cloud premises. So how can you secure the privileged access? Here is some advice from the HKPC. You have to consolidate and centrally manage user identities and authentications. Here I want to figure out one of the key messages from our company, SSH. Most of the enterprise that they think that the central management of user credential or authentication is located in Active Directory. They are doing well on protecting the user account or even the administrator account privileged access. But there is not only the case for Active Directory. I want to point out that for secure shell protocol, administrator or even users or root accounts, they can use secure shell SSH keys to log into SSH servers. For example, Linux, Unix, AIX, or even Windows servers, you can enable the secure shell protocol on the Windows servers. So for sophisticated technical engineers, they can turn on the secure shell protocol on those systems, or for Unix system, they are on default on, so that they can use the secure shell SSH keys to log into those systems to bypass the Active Directory logging in process. Here is the message from our corporate message. Please take into account. Moreover, the advice from HKP is also the enterprise need to provide the traceability and accountability for privileged access. Here is two keywords, traceability and accountability. Traceability, as I mentioned before, most of the enterprise now, the traceability they can provide is through the server access log. Then maybe they can centrally manage all the SIEM, the log from different servers and centrally manage it through the SIEM. But as I mentioned before, the server log is meaningless for privileged access. They only log when the user, the administrator, logging in or logging out from the server. There's no way to do the traceability on what the administrator do within the systems. And another key message is the accountability. If nowadays the shared administrator account is happening in your enterprise, there is no way to do the accountability. We have many cases in the Asia Pacific region that customer purchase our PAM solution because of the accountability. Because most of the enterprise nowadays using the shared administrator account. Most of users logging in through the administrator account, the root account, there is no way that the enterprise that can do the accountability, who is the administrator account behind, who is the root behind. No one knows. HKPC also advised the privileged access governance can help detection of APT and the rest of the attacks. Because for APT, they may be target for some specific systems for getting data. For other attack, maybe DDoS or whatever the attack, they may be target for your denial of service to turn down your service, your web service to the internet, maybe some of the purpose. But for privileged access, it can be huge damage on your overall enterprise. They can get your data like APT. They can deny of service of your service, like shutting it down because you have the root access, like the DOS attack. So please look into details of how you can enhance the privileged access management with IT infrastructure security. And here is the conclusion of the HKPC report. Privileged access is target of attacks, and the consequence of the privileged access is huge. And remember that privileged access governance is the responsibility of every party. It's not only the administrator account user, maybe business unit, IT security, compliance audit, or even every user in the enterprise. In recent few months, in Hong Kong, there are many medias have the newspaper cutting, they have many news to raise the market or the enterprise, the knowledge or the security ideas on the privileged access, they need to do the protection on these areas in these few months, especially in Hong Kong. And sorry that because the newspaper in Hong Kong that we cut here is in Chinese. So here you can see the major medias in Hong Kong also publish many privileged access related message in the market. If you are interested on the reports, you can download it from the HKPC report from this link. Because the report that I will present today is just part of the details of the report. If you want to access the full report, you can access this link. No worry, we will send out the email of these PowerPoint slides to you later on through our marketing email. So I present the HKPC report, the findings, the advice from the HKPC. So it's maybe very scary for your enterprise. But how can you do the enhancement so that you can prevent the privileged access security issues in your enterprise? So here jump into a few slides of our corporate slides on how you can handle on this problem. The first one I want to figure out is the challenges that most of enterprise today they have. So some of the message may be overlapped to the HKPC report. The audit and control, like I mentioned before, how you can enable the visibility, auditing, and alert. How you can enable the external users to access to your internal, like the HKPC report. So it is exactly the same, the challenges that now enterprise have in your enterprise, like the HKPC report finding. After we present the problem to you, now I want to jump into another topic, that how we can provide a solution for you to protect or to prevent the privileged access security issues. For our company, we have a product called Crypto Auditor that we can address the privileged access management problem, PAM, which is called PAM solution. Before I jump into the solution, you can sense the name of the product, how we can do the solution on PAM. Crypto Auditor. Crypto Auditor, you can separate the word into two words. Crypto means encrypted. Auditor means that you can inspect, you can audit something. So Crypto Auditor means that the product can inspect, can audit encrypted traffic. Like I mentioned before, secure shell protocol, remote desktop protocol, or even most of the enterprise, they use SSL to logging into their firewall, to logging into their APT system through the SSL-enabled web page, HTTPS. Most of these enterprise remote access tools protocols are using encrypted way to do the login, to do the access. In this way, Crypto Auditor is a product that we can install in the enterprise premises environment or in your cloud environment like AWS. We can do the encrypted traffic monitoring in the network. That means we can decrypt the secure share, remote desktop, SSL traffic, and then we can play back the video. We can play back the traffic for you later on for what the administrator do or the root account do. This is exactly to address the problem that we raised today. For our solution, Crypto Auditor, one of the beauty is that we no need to install any agents, no matter on server side or user side. It's a transparent network deployment, network-based deployment in enterprise environments. No need to install any agents in the networks. So to let you know more about our solution on PAM, let's jump into a detailed demonstrations on how Crypto Auditor help you to enhance the privileged access management. So let's jump into my browser for the demonstration of the product. So here is the web user portal for the privileged access product crypto auditor. Once you log into the system, because we are a network-based deployment, here you can see in the network, we recorded many of the traffic in the network through privileged access. For example, here is some remote desktop traffic. So let's click on it. It's a remote desktop traffic. Instead of knowing the time to log into the system or log out of the system, for crypto auditor, we can do the overall recording of the administrator desktop. So here you can see we are a network-based deployment in the network. Man in the middle, we deploy it in between the administrator and the server. And then we can record the whole screen of the administrator so that you can play back what the administrator do exactly in between this remote desktop job. Instead of only getting the data, the log data of when the administrator log in, log out, the administrator account, we can do the whole screen capture and then construct it as a video for you to do the playback. And here is the example of a remote desktop protocol. Of course, we can record the secure shell protocol like I said before. And here is the remote desktop protocol that you can record. If you are using the PuTTY, you are using the remote desktop card, we can record it and construct it as a video for you to do the playback. Another beauty of our product that I haven't mentioned before is that we can allow the user to use their native tools to log into the systems. Like I mentioned, they can use the remote desktop client. If the user is using the Windows notebook, they can use the PuTTY client to log into the systems. Instead of they need to install our proprietary client or logging in through the web page. It's very convenient for the user to start with our solutions to adopt it in your enterprise. Users just do their way in their daily jobs. PuTTY remote desktop clients. Other than remote desktop SSH protocol, like I mentioned, we can also audit HTTPS traffic SSL, right? So here you can see, here is one of the HTTPS recorded result that we can play back. Instead of a video format that shows the browser interface of the HTTPS traffic, for HTTPS, we are not constructing as a video. Instead of, we are providing you a detailed HTTPS get and response message in test log for you to have a detailed study. Here you can see the user that to get the HTTPS page from the backend server is using the Macintosh MacBook, Intel CPU, the Mac OS version, using the Chrome browser, and the whatever things that we can record it. And then here is the server response. The server responds this message to the user. So many customers will ask why we are not going to capture the HTTPS data and then construct it as a video to put it like a browser interface image for the user to do the playback. The idea is very easy to explain why we are not construct a video or a web interface for user to do the playback. You can just imagine that if there is some SQL injection or whatever web attack behind the web browser, if we construct it as a video of the web interface, the user is no way to do the search of the security instance or security breaches at the back end of the browser. If we construct the log data for the HTTPS traffic like this, you can see the SQL injection attack at the behind very easily. So it is the reason that why we provide the HTTPS log in test message. So here is the result that we can do the video playback or the playback of the audited traffic. So another demo I want to show you that is other than the playback of the traffic, we can do the real-time monitoring as well. So here I'm using the remote desktop app in my MacBook. I double click it for connecting to a Windows server at the back end because I already typed in the password here. And then once the user logging into the server to do the job real time now, when you refresh the browser of the product crypto auditor, you can see the ongoing session is opening here, right? So you can click on the session, and then at the corner of the web UI, you can see the live button here. So you can click on the live button, and then you can do the real-time monitoring of the user. So when the user double click on the recycle bin, and then close it, and then double click another folder, and then close it, you can see that at the administrator browser, it will in sync of the user activities so that you can do the real-time monitoring together with the user, no matter the user is from in other region or not with you in the same office. You can do the real-time monitoring. So once you can do the real-time monitoring, you can also try to terminate the user if the user is doing some activities that is not appropriate or you think that is not comfortable for you. So for example, that you can just give me a whatever reason, secure share workshop, SSH workshop. So here you can see the user is still active at the back end. Once you terminate, confirm the reason to kick out the user, here you can see the user is being kicked out and the message will be pushed to the user SSH workshop will be here. So that means you can do the real-time monitoring through our product. You can use real-time termination of the user through our crypto auditor as well. So here is the remote desktop demonstration. So let's jump into another demonstration on secure shell. So for secure shell, it's the same, like I'm logging in to a system and my backend is a Linux server. So in a normal way that you can do the login to a server, you can instantly jump into the server after you key in the password. But for our product, we can bring in a feature called approval procedure. Of course, it's also applied for remote desktop, secure shell. You can also do the approval process as well. So after the user key in the password, the user need to wait the administrator to approve the session so that he can jump into the server to do the administrator job. And if you do the SMTP integration, the approver will get an email for this session request. And then once the user get the email, the administrator can jump into the crypto auditor product and then click the approver, then they can click the approve or the reject button. So for example, for this demo, I click the approve, then the user can jump in to do the whatever job that the user want to do on this server. So the user need to wait the administrator to allow the session to start. So here is the approval procedure that we can also provide for the sessions. So here is the traceability that we can do on the encrypted traffic. And other keywords, I don't know if you still remember, is other than traceability, is also accountability from the HKPC report that enterprise need to raise the awareness on this part, like the share administrator right, the share administrator privilege account in enterprise. So for our product, we can address this problem. Like in normal enterprise, most of Windows servers, the login account will be administrator. But the problem is that they have no way to know who is the administrator. For our product, we have a feature called user account mapping. That means when Raymond wants to log into this server as administrator, Raymond need to log in as Raymond. Maybe the account may be through Active Directory, maybe through Rated Server, or we can create a local user for Raymond. Then our product can map the user Raymond to administrator account so that Raymond will grant the administrator privilege to log into the server. Raymond can get the same privilege access to the server. For enterprise, they can also improve the traceability on the user accounts. So, few days later, when the crypto auditor administrator log into this server, oh, Raymond is the administrator logging in as an administrator to this server at that particular time slot. So for our product, we can improve the traceability and accountability of the enterprise privileged access. So for enterprise, after they log the privileged access or the encrypted traffic in the networks, they find that there are many recorded video in the environments. So how they can find out a video that they are interested to do the review or for do the troubleshooting, because some incident maybe happen in the enterprise. So we have two ways that enterprise they can do the search on the video or to figure out a video they are interested. The first one is do the refined search. The parameter is fixed. Like you can search through the time range, maybe last hour, maybe today, or maybe a specific time window. Maybe the user is from Raymond, and Raymond through the protocol is RDP, and target to whatever server. It is some prerequisite search that the enterprise they can do. Another way that they can do is they can search from our search box. Because for all the recorded video in Crypto Auditor, we will do the indexing of the keywords. For example, I can search if there is a user using a keyword ping command. If there is a user using the ping command, we can do the search instantly in our Crypto Auditor web UI. So here you can see there is a few users using some of the users using the ping command. So here is one of the example. I click it, and then I can instantly jump into this video that the user will be using the ping command. And in the video, it will show you that the 9 second and the 15 second, the user will be using the ping command. So here you can see the ping command will be grabbed into red so that you can do the fast search of who are using the shutdown command, the delete command. You can search it very fast in our search box. Instead of searching the ping command in Secure Shell protocol, because it is text-based, we can also search the ping command in remote desktop as well. So you may doubt that why we can do the search in a remote desktop session. So here you can see in the 18th second, the user will be using the ping command. And here is the video playback. And why we can do the ping command in RDP, here is the typo. So here, this one is the correct ping command. We have two ways that we can do the search of ping or keywords in remote desktop. First one is the keystroke. We can do the search through the keystroke. The keystroke. That means whatever words that the administrator typing in through their keyboard, that we can index it. Is very simple, right? Like a keylogger. Another way that we can do the search in remote desktop is through the OCR. OCR means that it stands for Optical Character Recognition. Optical character recognition is that whatever words appear in this screen, that we can do the search. For example, we can search SSH. We can search POC and demo. These words, such words, because such words appear in the desktop screen, so that we can do the search. So here is some of the fundamental features that we can provide from crypto auditor. So jump into another slide that I prepared in the slide. Crypto auditor can also work with SIEM, work with DLP. So what is the purpose that we can integrate with data loss prevention systems? Imagine that you want to prevent the user from getting some sensitive data from internal enterprise through the secure share protocol or through the SFTP traffic. Because for secure share or SFTP, all the traffic are encrypted. If your enterprise have the DLP in place, the problem for DLP is that they have no way to detect or to scan for the encrypted traffic. So if the user using secure share or SFTP, DLP have no way to sense it, to alert it. For our product, we can integrate crypto auditor to DLP to do some command prevention or to prevent the user from getting out the sensitive data. So here I can show you the demonstration on how we can integrate with the DLP product. I can show you a quick demo. So again, I'm logging into a system directly without logging in through crypto auditor. I'm logging in directly. Because I'm using SSH keys, so I don't need to log in through password. So now I'm logging in root to CentOS 2 system. So I show you the file here. There is a file called credit card number and a file called personal data. So once I get the credit card number from this server, I can catch it. That means I can print it out. The credit card number is 9876 blah 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 blah. You can read it. You can catch the personal data. So the personal data inside it have this is secret, this is top secret. The credit number is blah 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 blah. So because I directly connect to the server, so I can get the whatever data. So now I do another demo that I logging in through crypto auditor like I do the demonstration before. So I logging into the system, then again I need to approve the session. So a moment please. So I can click the approve. So now the user can jump into the session. And logging into the same server again. The credit card data and the personal file is here. So again, I catch this file. The server crypto auditor already integrated with the DLP. So I catch it because this file has sensitive data inside. So the crypto auditor passed the data to the DLP. DLP scan it. Oh, there is credit card number. So I mask it, the credit card number digit into XXXX. Or whatever digit, or you can just erase it from the file. If I kept the personal data file, there is another policy that because there are top secret wordings inside the file, so DLP have the policy to terminate the user to prevent the user from getting the personal data file. So even the user can get nothing from this personal file. So here is the result of crypto auditor integrate with DLP that what we can do the integration, we can terminate the user, we can mask the data from the sensitive data. So it is the result that we can integrate with the DLP system. And that is all of the presentation and demonstration that I prepared for today's webinar. So let's jump into the last part of the hands-on webinar today. Sorry that I maybe have some overrun. So here is the last slide that you guys can involve for this hands-on webinar that you can access to our crypto auditor for some hands-on experience on our product. You can access to the crypto auditor that we already placed it in the internet. Here is the IP address. And then please remember that use the Firefox or Chrome browser to access the crypto auditor because the Internet Explorer IE is not work so well on our product. So recommend to use the Firefox or Chrome to access to our crypto auditor through this IP address. And then you can use the username from user 01 to user 20. And then here is the password. So now please go to the chat room, go to webinar control panel. I will distribute the web link in the chat room and the user account for different users. So please use the specific user account for yourself. You can copy the link from the chat room so that you prevent you from typo the wrong IP address. So here is the link. And here is the password. So for attendance, I will type your name in the chat box and I will let you know which user you are allowed. So Anton, you can use user 01 and Ivan is user 02, James, you can use 03, and Junior, okay, there is a attendee called Junior, user 04. So user 05. If you encounter any problems, you can type your questions in the chat box, or you can raise any questions on the presentation today, and I can try to answer in this channel. Or of course, if you guys have want to have a further discussion on a product or testing in your enterprise, just let us know. We can come to your office, we can have a remote call, whatever way we can do. Okay, so all of you guys should get your own user account and the password should be the same. And you can access to the HTTPS internet link to our crypto auditor. So you guys, you can play around in the product. And the link will be made available by today. So you can play it after this session by within today in whatever time. After that, we will close the link. So let me know if you have any problems on the hands-on lab, or even you have any questions regarding the presentation topic today. So again, let you know my contact method here. I can be reached through my email address raymond.ma@ssh.com. And of course, you can reply our marketing email as well, and to reach me in another channel. And I'm responsible for the whole Asia Pacific region. So wherever you will come from in APAC, I can come to your office, or we can have a remote session for the demonstration in details for your company, for your whole overall your colleagues, for the rest of the people in your company. So you guys can still go ahead for the hands-on lab to access the crypto auditor. I will close this webinar in 2 more minutes, and then you can still go access to the crypto auditor in the internet. So let me know if you have any questions or issues on getting access to the crypto auditor in these 2 minutes. So there is a question from the chat box. The question is, this is for all kind of servers, Windows, Linux, on premises, and on cloud. The answer is yes, because for crypto auditor, we are auditing the protocol of the remote tools. For example, remote desktop, SSH, secure shell, the SSL traffic as well. For most of the enterprise now, they are using Windows, Linux, like the questions. Most of the remote access is through secure shell, remote desktop, no matter it's on premises or on the cloud. So the product crypto auditor is auditing the protocol. Instead of we are auditing Windows Server, we are auditing Red Hat, auditing whatever. We are auditing the protocol. So we can audit on Windows, Linux, whatever systems, provided that they are using the remote desktop, using the secure shell protocol for the access. So that's the answers to the questions. And thanks for the question. Okay, if there is no further questions on the webinar, that will be the end of the webinar. And as I said before, you can still access to the crypto auditor for the link that I provide and the user account that I provide. And thank you all again for taking time to attend the webinar today. And we hope you have been able to gain insights into how you can better manage your most trusted assets and crypto traffic. And thanks for all your time, and see you next time.